Hi everyone, it's Kidest with some thoughts on how you go about anchoring some new concept, some new standard of experience, some new quality of energy into your day-to-day experience. A lot of the times when we interact with new information, when we interact with a potentially new way of seeing the world and experiencing the world and ourselves, we keep it at the level of the intellect. We keep it at just intellectual or philosophical or, metaphysical understanding. We don't take it further than that. And in order to live the new information, in order to actualize that new pattern into our day-to-day experience, we have to integrate it. We have to anchor it. We have to condition our neurology and our physiology to be able to perceive and translate reality in accord with that new lens, with that new idea, with that new way of being in the world, seeing in the world, and experiencing the world. So once you have that new information, once you have that new way of observing reality, you have to go and apply it. You have to bring about the experiential knowledge into your perspective rather than leaving it at the stage of, pure intellectual knowledge. So you want to engage with the idea in a practical way. You want to play with your own awareness and see, what it's like to now try on this new lens, to now apply it in your conscious awareness actively. In the same way when you learn to drive a car, for instance, first you studied all the rules and regulations that apply to driving in your area. You took the written exam, you absorbed that intellectual understanding, you created that intellectual map. And all of that was well and good. All of that gave you context for what you were about to step into. But when it came to actually driving, you had to go through a kind of procedural learning while you were in the car. So you had to learn what it was like to handle the gear shift. You had to learn what it was like to press on the gas versus the brake. You had to do all of these sort of physiological and neurological actions to make driving a normal part of your day-to-day experience. And in that initial phase, it was awkward. In that initial stage of sort of consciously becoming competent in that new experience, it was awkward, it was weird. You had to sort of keep rehearsing the procedures until you begin to habituate it. And it's the same process of learning when it comes to new ideas, new ways of observing your reality. So whether you're talking about universal laws or whether you're talking about parallel realities or multidimensionality, whatever the concept, if it's new for you, it's going to take you actually going through that kind of procedural learning to make it a reliable and habituated part of your everyday awareness. So you want to play with that as soon as you come in contact with an idea that interests you, as soon as you come into contact with an idea that fascinates you, that you're curious about. You want to move into that sort of experiential stage of anchoring it and embodying it. So, to give you an example, if what you want to understand is this idea of being interconnected, this idea of being all one with all of existence, you want to begin to try that on. So what's it like when you close your eyes and allow yourself to expand your awareness to include the room that you're in, the home that you're in, the community that you're a part of? What's it like when you keep expanding your awareness out and out and out and out until the furthest reaches of the cosmos? And you try that on and you bring your sort of ability to physically record that experience into your brain and body. And you take it into your conversations, your connections, your trip to the grocery store. Bring it into your day-to-day experience where you walk into whatever environment you're in physically and sort of pause and engage that conscious awareness and stretch to include the environment that you're in as part of your identity, as part of your self-reference. And you want to let that information click into your conscious experience. You can only integrate the pointers, the directions, the explanations, the informative descriptions that you're presented with when you actually play with them in your real-time, real-life frames. Whatever you understand intellectually will actually not have any believability to it until you begin to experience it. It won't have anything other than intellectual validity for you. And there's a difference. There's a difference between the unshakable knowledge you form when you experience a new idea as an experience, when you live that blueprint out into actual events that you interact with and you translate. It has a different level of believability. It becomes this certain knowledge you hold within yourself. And getting to that point with any concept, with any idea, with any map, with any new map of reality making or reality serving requires that you embody, integrate, and anchor it into your experience by this process of going from conceptual to actual. So ask yourself where you are exploring new ways of observing reality, where you are playing with new ways of understanding yourself and your world. Check to see where you are in that process of going from conceptual to actual, in that process of going from intellectual understanding to experiential knowledge, where you've lived the idea that it's just now a part of what you know to be true about yourself and your world. So let's take a look at another example. Ask yourself, what's something I've been really captivated by right now? What's some idea? What's some way of being in the world that I'm really intrigued by, that I'm really curious about? And we'll use this fairly popular notion of multidimensionality, of being a multidimensional being, existing in a multidimensional reality. Okay? So let's say the multidimensional nature of reality really calls to you. Plug that into your everyday experience. Pick up the aspects of your reality and look at them through that lens. Take a look at the situations that are showing up. If this thing that's happening in my life right now was actually to have 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 dimensions to it, what would I notice? If there was another dimension to this experience that I wasn't consciously aware of just yet, what would I be noticing? And you begin to sort of rotate these events, these memories you're holding in your mind. You begin to rotate them around to see what else could be there, what else is there. And notice how you're experiencing your world. There's this tendency to experience waking experience as a sort of flat, linear occurrence, that what you see in front of you with your 5 senses is all there is. this impression forms in the mind that what you see and what appears to be happening is the totality of it, that there's nothing at back of what you're translating with your senses. And intellectually, you may know that this is not the case, that beyond the world of matter is a finer world, a subtler world, where information and energy is behaving in a completely bizarre way, at least to the senses. So you want to pop that perceptual bubble of sort of superficial perception. You want to take your real world experiences and begin to look at them from those different angles of dimension, and play with whatever pops into your awareness. And you do that by asking the questions, by actually taking that moment to pause and get curious about applying that new lens that you want to try on. You want to actually go through the process of getting your mind to bend in that new way, getting your mind to rotate itself in that new way of understanding reality through that new concept that you're wanting to sort of have a deeper understanding of. By looking at your perceived experiences again and again, beyond the assumptions that you're making right now, beyond the assumption that all there is to see about what you currently see is what you're perceiving, by transcending that sort of habituated assumption that you've made a part of your way of being aware of the world, you'll begin to take yourself into that new lens, into that new territory of consciousness wherein you're observing yourself and your world in a new way. So interact with it, integrate it by testing to see what the objects of your experience, what the events your experience now look like when you're looking at them through this new lens that you're playing with, that you're curious about. And it's really just that simple to integrate new ways of observing reality, new perspectives, new angles of observation into your day-to-day experience. You just have to do that part of moving yourself into experiential understanding.